want it, then the government will allow it. And if the society doesn't want this nudity in arts itself, then they will ban it in itself. They say that they will depend on the society. Although the motion doesn't require them to do so, but we will beat them under their own paradigm. Mr. Speaker, here under the opposition side, we have proven to you that at the end of the day, the society who consists of these parents, of these children, of these religious people who have their own religious views, doesn't want this at all. So at the end of the day, we are saying that this society doesn't want nudity in arts, and therefore we believe that this government should ban nudity in arts at the end of the day. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would like to rebut their case and also their points later on. It is very funny how this government actually stood up and told us about it. They saying that it is the right to choose for the society, about this is the check and balances, and so forth, Mr. Speaker. First of all, they talk about the right to choose, but that's actually under our paradigm. It is supporting our paradigm, because here we tell you the society doesn't want this, and therefore it is the right to choose. They have the right to choose on what to ban. They tell the government, I don't want nudity in arts, therefore you should ban. So what are they proposing? Actually, we don't know. Second of all, they told us that the government cannot dictate. For sure, Mr. Speaker, everyone agrees that government cannot dictate. Just see what happens in the Arab Spring itself when the government dictates. So therefore, if you don't want to dictate, then you have to follow what the society wants. If you don't want to be dictated, then you have to follow what these people want, what their parents. They want to protect this pure, innocent, immediate children in itself, Mr. Speaker. But thirdly, it is very funny how the first speaker actually stood up and saying, if the society thinks that this racist comments is actually okay, then they want to allow racist comments. Mr. Speaker, here is a parallel example to nudity in arts and also racist comments. First of all, it offends people. When it offends the majority of the people, Mr. Speaker, that's when the government step in and ban these things. That's why we actually ban these cartoons of Muhammad and stuff. We ban these racist comments, we ban these racist pictures, and so on and so forth. So we have seen that in the line of protecting, respecting the people's majority views itself, the government have done a lot of things. And we believe that they themselves are contradicting. When we have seen that we assume that their mechanism is to ban all the PGs in the whole wide world, Mr. Speaker, because how they want to say that movies is a part of art. But let's move on to the second speaker.
Before that,
yes.
if you talk about people who don't want to listen, tell me why they cannot just not watch it. You say these people don't want to watch it, but you're assuming that they will watch it eventually. What are you trying to say? You're allowing them to choose whether they want to watch or not. It's not a force or not an obligation to them.
Mr. Speaker, arts are everywhere. Arts are statues. Statues are art, pictures are art. If a statue is actually in the middle of the park, you expect people not to go out and go to the park, to the public place that they want to go to, and just to not see, cover their eyes and get crushed by the car and so on. Mr. Speaker, we think that is very assumptions from the government side here, saying that if you don't want to see this, if you don't want to listen to this, then don't see this, don't listen to this. Is this the kind of government that we want? The kind of the government that's supposed to protect the society in itself? But let's move on. Sit down. I've already done with you. Secondly, the second speaker stood up and said that these parents should be conservative, and that these parents have the role in itself to teach the children about what's good and what's bad. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you what kind of parents actually saying that nudity is good. Even smoking parents doesn't teach their children to smoke, because they believe that the children, they don't want the harms upon the children. They believe that this nudity is also a form of harm to the children. They don't want the children to be exposed into the bad influence and so on, Mr. Speaker. Please sit down. So in this idea in itself, however, I already proved to you, majority of the parents actually wants to protect their children, but they don't want to expose the children from these things, Mr. Speaker. We believe that in the line of what the parents need, in the line of the parents want to, in order to protect the children, that the government should ban at the end of the day. And it's funny how they say that the government should not put something whether it's good or whether it's bad. They say it's bad for the government to do social engineering and so on, which is kind of weird. But anyway, Mr. Speaker, here's the thing. When the parents already conceded to the fact that nudity in arts is actually bad for the children, then Mr. Speaker, then how is it not okay for us to ban for it? Because we see that the society already mutually agree that nudity in arts is something that's offensive for them, Mr. Speaker. Now that I'm done with the second speaker, let's move on to the third speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's really funny how the third speaker stood up. He said that because censorship doesn't work, and and therefore we want to ban censorship because we believe that the society is curious. Mr. Speaker, here's the thing. Just because censorship doesn't work, suddenly you want to ban censorship, exposing more the society to the harms, to the offense principle they're going to put on in the future. Because here's the thing, I tell you censorship does work. Because even if censorship, we cannot control underground. What the government shows to the people, what the government have in law itself, is telling the people, sending the message to the people, I am not supporting this thing that you do not support. I am supportive of what you support. So if you do not support unity in arts, at least under the government law, we will do censorship, we will ban unity in arts. Why? Because we support what you support. But what they are doing, just because the censorship doesn't work, they say that these people still can see and so on, Mr. Speaker. At the very least, within the media and television itself, we can protect the children. Within the internet itself, we can protect the people for seeing this kind of stuff. Because I tell you, Mr. Speaker, parents are really an important stakeholders under this debate. We have to consider what the parents want, what the parents think is the best for the future generation. Because how, for example, we ban smoking for these children, how we ban these things for the children, because it's in line on what the parents think the best for the children. The parents think it is bad, cigarettes are bad for the children, and therefore they ban cigarettes for the minors and so on. So under this line of proven, Mrs. Speaker, we believe that the parents think that unity in arts itself is offensive and not good for the children itself. We believe that the government should ban it at the end of the day. Because how we already tell you that unity in arts is offensive? Because it has the same physical features. It's like the same as seeing some weird guy running around naked in KLCC. This is the same. It has the physical features as if you see the statue. It's the same that you see the real person, the very person, seeing you with no physical parts censored and so on. So we believe that unity in arts at the end of the day has the same principle as the racist comment, and that's why we need to ban it.